I really appreciate you being here, and I would like to also now introduce, our first awardee of the day, Mike Bonin, our Los Angeles City Council member in the 11th District. First elected in 2014. He has been a progressive champion, an openly LGBTQ city council member, an advocate for the disenfranchised, for the marginalized. You think that the fight for 15 for minimum wage increases started with Bernie Sanders in 2016? You're wrong. Mike Bonin, right here in Los Angeles, fighting for minimum wage increases in this city, fighting for the unhoused population every step of the way. This year, Mike announced that he was going to be stepping down and not seeking re-election, to spend more time with his family and to take care of himself. And you called me before the announcement, Mike, and you let me know. And I shed a little tear, and I said, you don't need to talk to me about self-care, honey. You do what you need to do to take care of yourself. But Stonewall is so proud to have worked with you, so proud to have supported you. You are the embodiment of the 50-year struggle for LGBTQ equality. You are the living embodiment. So we are so proud to honor you with this Lifetime Achievement Award, Los Angeles City Council member Mike Bonin.
Thank you. I'm going to put this down because I'll break it. Thank you for that. I feel a little odd getting a Lifetime Achievement Award because I ain't done with life. And I ain't done with the fight either. I may be retiring from the council in December, but I'm going to keep on fighting. And I'm looking forward to continuing the fight with the Stonewall Democrats, because this is where the fight is at, and this is where the activists are at. I want to thank Alex for that intro. Today is actually the first time he and I met in person, although I have felt an incredible bond and admiration for him over the past year. I'm a fan, and I admire the work you're doing, and I admire what Stonewall is doing. Alex asked me to talk about what's at stake in the 2022 elections. And that's a really easy question to answer. The answer is everything. Absolutely freaking everything is at stake in the 2022 elections. The right to privacy is at stake in the 2022 elections. Who controls our economy is at stake in these elections. The very existence of our democracy is at stake in these elections. And we're not just in a fight. Nationally, we as Democrats, we're losing a fight. We're getting our asses kicked nationally. And it's a scary situation. And part of the reason, quite frankly, I ain't running for anything again, so I can talk candidly. Part of the reason is not only do Democrats suck when they're in the minority, Democrats have been sucking at being in the majority. The American people are frustrated and pissed because the Democrats are not delivering in Washington. And they really don't know what we're fighting for. They don't really even know what Democrats stand for in so many places. And right now, people don't care even what we stand for. They want to know what we are fighting for. We have a huge fight on our hands nationally. And Alex talked exactly about what we need to be doing here in Orange County and in Christy Smith's district to do our part to make sure the Democrats stay in the majority in the House. But that's just the beginning. Then we got to insist they actually do something with that power. Because we're up against an opposition, Republicans who get done what they want, not only when they're in the majority, they get their agenda passed when they're in the minority. We gotta fight that. And I know it sometimes may feel like, well, things are easier in California or in Los Angeles because we're overwhelmingly Democratic. 14 of 15 members of the city council are Democrats. The majority of the legislature are Democrats. Most of our congressional delegation are Democrats. But let me tell you, we got some very, very important fights on our hands. Not just the mayor's race, but we got to make sure that George Gascon stays in office and does not get recalled. And we have to make sure that that batshit crazy charlatan Alex Villanueva gets his ass thrown out on the streets, and we get Eric Strong into office. But those races are really important, not just because of how great George is and how bad Alex is and how great Eric is. What's happening there is Democrats are losing the narrative on the issues that matter here in Los Angeles. And people who voted for Joe Biden, people who voted for Elizabeth Warren, people who voted for Bernie Sanders are actually lining up and supporting conservatives in some of these arguments over law enforcement and public safety. And we're not articulating the response right. People out there think that because there was a 1% decrease in an LAPD budget in a single year, in a year when the economy was collapsing, other departments were getting 10% cuts, that we defunded the police. And that's what we're talking about. Instead of saying, we think crime is absolutely unacceptable and we know how to stop it. We know how to stop it because we can make smarter, less expensive investments in housing and jobs and in education and neighborhoods. That's how you keep people safe. We've got people out there right now who are saying that the question about homelessness in this election is between people who want to outlaw encampments and people, they claim, who want to keep people living in misery in encampments. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. This is about people who want to do the hard work to provide housing to get people indoors. Yes. And people who refuse to support that. And then some of the opponents will say, oh no, it's a drug and a mental health problem. We don't need housing, we need drug rehab, and we need mental health services. Well, yeah, we need that shit too. Yep. But what's ironic is that the people who are saying that are the same people who are defunding mental health services and rehab. Yep. And we have the same argument on environment and on climate change. We have people who are fronts for the fossil fuel industry who are saying that Democrats and supporters of the Green New Deal want to throw people from marginalized communities out of work and drive up their utility costs. When in fact, what we want to do is we want to save neighborhoods. What we want to do is we want to prevent people from choking and getting asthma because we have oil drilling in their neighborhoods. We want to prevent neighborhoods from burning down. And here's what we need to talk more about, is our mission is to create a robust, clean, green economy that provides damn good paying jobs for everybody. That's what we need to be talking about. And something big is happening here in Los Angeles. I don't know if you've all caught it. In this election cycle, there is a whole bunch of new grassroots candidates who are running competitive races because we have a robust public matching fund system right now. There is a whole new grassroots democracy happening in Los Angeles. We've got the LA Times, which used to be sort of the voice of the establishment, coming out and endorsing all sorts of new grassroots candidates for office. And in this election, every voter is getting a ballot at home. Everyone is getting a ballot. Now, we got to get them to vote, but everybody is getting a ballot. And those dynamics fundamentally change what's happening in our election. Because Republicans will try to rig a smaller electorate so they can win. And the Democratic establishment has its own targeted universe that it likes, and if we can turn that out, we can win. But right now, we're not in control of the universe anymore. Right now, it's anybody in Los Angeles is fair game to be voting. And that changes things. Because the average Angelino is not wedded to the Democratic Party. The average Angelino is certainly not a corporate Democrat. The average Angelino is struggling to get by. The average Angelino doesn't care what your party is. They want people who are speaking to their needs and their frustrations. And here's my warning to the Democratic Party. If in the brewing battles over the soul of what happens in Democratic and progressive politics in Los Angeles, the party sides with the establishment over the frustrated people, the party is screwed. The party is screwed. We got to be listening to what's happening there. And we got to be out in the streets mobilizing and listening to more voters. Because here's the deal, just like nationally, locally, people don't care what we stand for. What they want to know is what we're fighting for. We got to be delivering, and performative stuff doesn't matter. Incremental change doesn't matter. People need big things. They need jobs. They need help. They need us to fix the criminal justice system. They need us to actually address systemic racism. They need us to take on the causes of the marginalized. And the establishment ain't doing that. We got to be fighting, and we got to be fighting for real. That's what's happening in Los Angeles.